Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Los Angeles-based jazz singer Mayita Dinos. We caught up with her on the last day of May 2020 from her home in Culver City, California, to discuss the COVID-19 pandemic and racial unrest in America. She opened up about her debut 2020 CD, The Garden Is My Stage. After a decades-long career as a landscape designer, it's not that she hasn't been singing in public for years, but finally the stars aligned and the opportunity to record music came her way. Her approach to music, arts, and life is a product of her mixed heritage. Have a listen to her explain.
Thanks for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz.
Well, it's definitely my pleasure.
So where exactly are you located? How's everything going?
Last night, yesterday, I'm in Los Angeles, in Culver City specifically, but, I don't know if you're aware of the riots and the amazing anger that is being manifested here against the police and the George Floyd killing. So I've been kind of glued to the television watching things very reminiscent of the Rodney King event that happened many years ago. But wow!
Yeah, as if we needed anything to add on top of a pandemic and people already being weird about being human beings. So, I think maybe when Martin Luther King passed, my dad told me stories about how Kansas City erupted. We've never had anything weird happen here like that. And last night on one of our premier spots down near downtown called the Plaza, they started destroying businesses and shooting tear gas, and they got the whole area blocked off. So I think what's happening is it's boiling over into every part of this country, and I don't think it's going to get any better. And the reason is that I think the spirit of the human soul right now being locked up for 3 months and having nothing to look forward to and nothing coming back, I don't think people feel like there's anything to really say, oh, well, okay, we can kind of wrap up and maybe we have a logical system that will deal with this and we have these diversions. I think this is the time for something like this that maybe people will start listening or not. So it's the unique juxtaposition.
You're so right. And, everything that has been happening about the pandemic has been fueling all this anger and this disrest. It's just didn't need this spark.
No. And yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think, even before this unrest here, I really wanted to reach out to talk about the music.
No, and let me say that I totally understand it. I'm not saying, oh my God, these people are whacked and out of their minds. Well, it's understandable.
It is.
There's been too much injustice, and I just, what I'm saying is that the spark was fueled by all this other stuff. And it has, really become a conflagration of anger. So, but here we are.
Yes.
And things are opening up here. I'm not going out yet. But the music is what keeps me going. And I'm planning a virtual CD party where we can talk about the making of the CD. And in the meantime, I'm getting, some really lovely reviews which reflect specifically the timing. I've been told that the music is very calming and it's kind of like a balm. So I think the music from The Garden Is My Stage. I think that it came out, even though I can't celebrate it in public, it came out at a good time.
That was my first question that you just answered. I think that's the unique thing. One thing I've noticed here in Kansas City is things are starting to open up, and I'm a restless spirit, so I really, I love being outside and being a part of things. And I actually went downtown, and we were outside. It was fine and safe, and there was a musician that was performing, and it just absolutely it was just a dude with the guitar. He was on a stage in one of our districts, Power and Light. Everything was distanced, safe. Everything was good. And I just sat there in awe. I was just like, oh my God. I mean, I can't believe it's already happening. And everything was fine, he just had his guitar case up, and if you wanted to put money in it, and people were dining, and it was almost like life was back to normal, and wow, I'm still blown away. It was like a miracle. Yeah. Oh, well, at that moment in time, everything felt normal. It just felt like, all right, here we are. We're back in it. So for that moment at least, and that moment's probably been enough to wash away at least a month and a half of the last music silence we've gone through. So talk about the magic of the moment. But
we've been trying with open mics on Zoom, and it's just not the right platform, but it becomes sort of a way of supporting each other through this, really lonely time.
Well, and this is your debut album. You've been on the planet for a while, so talk to me a little bit about what kind of led to you getting into this, to releasing this, and kind of your roots?
Well, my roots are really kind of multicultural. I lived in different countries as a little girl, and I was exposed to, many different kinds of music, including, my mother and I were born in Puerto Rico. My father was born in Turkey, but he is of Greek ancestry. And so for those of you who may not know, there's a lot of antagonism between Greeks and Turks. And I remember visiting my grandmother in Turkey and hearing the music, the Turkish music, and I thought, wow, this is really beautiful. And I dared not say anything because what were the repercussions of siding musically with the enemy? But when we were in Spain, I was just floored by flamenco. And I realized that the flamenco, in a way, has, Arabic roots. So it's not unusual that I should like both of those musics. But, it's really, my grandmother was the one who exposed me to the actual singing. She loved music, and she would come and pick me up from my parents' house and take me to her house, which was up in the middle of the island, where it's like one sierra and very windy roads, and I was prone to car sickness. And so she figured out that if she kept me singing, that I would stop throwing up. So she started just, teaching me all the old songs from her day. And she was very much like a vocal coach. She would say, no, do it like this. Do it with feeling. And so that was really important. My cousins and I used to put on shows, and everybody at parties would sing, and someone would always bring out a guitar. So I guess that's the roots. That is the roots, way down. But I've been a landscape designer for over 30 years. And it's only in the last, I'd say about 8 years, that I've started seriously singing. And it was through Leimert Park, which is an African-American community of tremendous historic with a lot of history of music. Back in the day when I first started going there, you would walk down the main street, which was called Degnan Boulevard, and there was music, live music, coming from almost every storefront. So we happened to come, my husband and I, who's a real jazz fan, happened to go into the world stage, where we would go for concerts, and that was a place that was started by Billy Higgins, the drummer, and Kamau. Daoud Kamau, I think is his name. And they started this place for the community, so they would have a place to go and make music. And so this night, it wasn't a regular jazz concert. It was kind of like a recital of the Tuesday night jazz workshop, jazz singing workshop. And it was led by a wonderful vocal coach who has since passed, Howlett Smith. But he was also an amazing composer, an amazing pianist. And this was the recital night. And it had such a lovely quality. Everybody was so happy and supportive. And my husband looked at me and he said, Mayita, you should do this. And I said, oh, come on, don't be ridiculous. And he said, no, do it. This would be good. So a couple of Tuesdays later, I showed up and I just sat in the back. And next Tuesday, I went back and Ann Mack, a wonderful singer, turned around and she said, girl, when are you going up there? And I said, I don't think I'm going up there anytime soon. She goes, you know what? You should go. We have all been in your position. This is the perfect place to start singing. And so the next week, I got up and Howlett said, you come back. And so I did. And I started taking private lessons with him too, and then taking him to the workshop afterwards. So that was the beginning, and ever since I have been completely passionate and discovering music that related to nature and gardens by, you know, the big dudes and doodahs in the jazz world, and that were also inspired by gardens and nature. You know, Billy Strayhorn, A Flower's a Lovesome Thing, Thelonious Monk, Panonica, which is the name of a moth. Everybody thinks it's a butterfly, but it's actually a moth. And on and on. And then, of course, you know, I was a big Joni Mitchell fan. So Woodstock, which the refrain just sort of captures the essence of what I'm all about at the moment, which is we have got to get ourselves back to the garden, because that is the place that is so healing and where we connect to really larger truths. And for me, the garden was a place that sparked a spiritual experience when I planted trees one May for my mother, for Mother's Day, and then sort of forgot about them. And, you know, in June or July, whenever it was, I went in the back and saw that these bare root fruit trees that I had planted thinking these are dead, nothing's going to happen, were ablaze with flowers and green leaves. And I felt like this was like, oh my God, I did this. This is amazing. I want more. And that's what, you know, got me into landscape design. So the two came together in this album. And it is a real project of love. The people who were my team are also, you know, just really into this, and we're wonderful as guides through the, you know, the recording process. While I was recording, I think I felt like it was a doctorate in music. You know, I became a better singer. I understood music better. It was like music theory, and it was a wonderful experience. And here we are.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Speaking of here we are, what do you hope when we do get back to live music? Do you hope, like, the audience and the musician realizes about this time away from it, like revelations? Revelations.
For one thing, I think I've heard everybody say how much they miss the energy and the camaraderie and the connectedness that one feels when one is making live music. And you have no idea what it was like to perform this concert, because it started out as a concert in a garden that I had designed, a public garden, because there was the other energy of, of nature embracing us. So I want to do that again. I want to do that. I want to savor being close to the musicians, looking at an audience and feeling their energy come back at me. And I certainly hope it doesn't take too long. But that's what I'm hoping. I think that we appreciate each other. We will be appreciating each other on a level that is monumental.
Yeah, I agree. So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, fans, those around you, but you're the one living your life. Who do you think you are?
I feel very much like a chameleon because I'm curious about a lot of things. I like to get into things deeply. So I just feel like, I've had a lot of different chapters in my life. I was a teacher. I am a landscape designer. I'm an artist. I'm a vocalist. I want to continue being curious and exploring different things and being creative within everything that I do. That's who I think I am.
Perfect. Hey, thank you for taking some time out during this very strange time on the planet to talk about music and everything in between. I appreciate it. Good luck with the album.
I thank you because you're keeping the community connected and hopeful, and it's wonderful what you do. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest singers in Los Angeles, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Mayita for her time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
We'll fly away, build a nest, and we can compose all the rest.
Neon Jazz.